Hi, I'm JP, and today I'm going to be talking about these succulent bowls. These are great centerpieces for your summer patios or even as a house plant. You know, if you have like a south or west facing window, these are going to be great additions for that. By definition, succulents need bright, sunny locations and also to stay in the drier side. Of course, there's always exceptions, and some of them can tolerate the low light better than others, or maybe benefit from more frequent waterings. But by definition, these ones are gonna be just fine as like a little community living in a container. As soon as the temperature is over 55 degrees at night, I like to take these outdoors. I find that they grow much better with the elements, but if you're not able to, it's totally fine to just keep them in a south or west facing window. The way that we like to approach these projects is always kind of creating like a rock garden. So we have some pebbles. We also would accent this with some river rocks. So it kind of again gives you the illusion that it's like a natural landscape. And we use succulent soil that it has better properties for succulents, so faster infiltration and a little bit more air within the roots. For this size container that is like an 8 inches, 8 to 10, you can find that usually 4 to 5 plants per container work just fine. And here we're gonna be working with 4 different kinds. We can talk all day about like specific ones. By definition, this is an echeveria, this is a calancho, this is the jelly bean one, and then this is a portulacaria, and they are just great colorful elements for your container. So I always like to put a little bit of soil in the base of your bowls, and low bowls are probably going to be the best fit because they will not be collecting too much water, because plants again like to dry out between the waterings. So I always like to start kind of like the taller element. In this case going to be this one. Another common name for this one is panda ears, because of those like little black dots in the leaves, kind of remind you of panda ears. I always, again, like to frame the plants with some soil. Towards the front of this element, I would like to use this echeveria. In this specific one, this one is sending a bloom stem, like flowers. But I'm going to be cutting that so the plant focus on establishing roots instead of producing a flower. We don't need to loosen up the soil necessarily. It's fine if you do, but it's not necessary. That's going to be sitting towards the front of the pot here. Again, more of this specific soil that has some good stuff for succulent. Succulents are so easy once that you have them in the right setup. This one is a very fun one. They can grow quite big as the season goes, so I always like to use half of them. Otherwise, it gets too crowded within the pot. And there's multiple plants here. I will do that one on that side. And again, filling up the gaps with this succulent and cactus soil. I will add another element here, like these jelly bean ones. There are 6 plants here. Again, I'll just take 3 of those. I try to be gentle with the root system, even though succulents are very forgiving. They can literally live for years without any soil. In this case, I will be using some forks. I'm gonna be just compacting the soil, maybe removing the excess between the leaves. It's kind of like very zen mindset whenever you do these centerpieces, especially because they grow so well. Sometimes they don't work out together, so you can start replacing elements. In this case, I'm gonna be using these. I'm gonna use this container to scoop up some of these pebbles, and I'm using here a color that kind of like makes sense with the container. So it's all kind of like natural river rocks that have been softened, so they're all nice and round. And slowly we start filling up gaps. The cool thing about succulents is that their looks, it sometimes remind you of rocks. So it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of blending in within the pot. That could be a strategy when you start designing. You can play around with that, or you can use contrasting colors like blacks or whites so the plant actually stands up. And I always again like to compact these elements down here. We don't necessarily need to be super concerned about having too much room for when you water, because we will not be watering these as much as other elements. And just for a little like more fun looks, we have these river rocks that are a little bit bigger. And I always like to find the elements that kind of blend in within the colors. You can always play with kind of like positioning this in the most natural look, or sometimes even toys, like dinosaurs or different elements also play really lovely together. Start building up like a little story going on. You can start working with some brushes to remove anything excess, but that's it. I would say that something like this can be with you for a long time.